Fallen Angels #2 is very much a book about being on the outside looking in, because we really kind of get a somewhat in-depth look into the psyche of all three characters, Laura, Cable, and Kwannon, in this book. But let's go ahead and jump in and kind of show what I'm talking about. So you open up on this character. They don't elaborate on who it is. She's saying that she can get this man out of Japan, asking if he's alone. But, yeah, it's all a misconception, or not a misconception, it's all a lie. Because she says here with a smirk, she goes, "People like us never leave. Not until we die. We serve the clan. It is our will. By sacrifice, we rise. We want nothing, for we are nothing." And when we forget that, when we allow ourselves to desire, we fall. And that is just a magnificent splash page right here. And it kind of, I think what happens is here you find out that this is Kwannon years before her and Betsy Braddock were merged, and how she was an assassin. I believe is for the Hand. So I wasn't 100% sure. I think it was the Hand and not the Yakuza, and I'll explain that thought process here in a minute. But I just really wanted to share this amazing splash page of Kwannon taking out this guy. And with that said, Fallen Angels #2. Bryan Hill, writer. Szymon Kudranski doing the art. Frank D'Armata doing the colors. VC's Joe Sabino doing the lettering. Tom Mueller the design. Here's everybody else associated with the book. Fallen Angels issue 2 is called Shuto, which, from what I understand, Shuto is like a not a small sword, like a small dagger, and it's not as long as a katana. It's a mini sword, essentially, is what Shuto, from what I understand, means. If I'm missing any of the concepts in that, let me know, because I'd love to know more, because I kind of looked this up and it was really interesting to read about. But we're not here to talk about katanas or Shutos. We're here to talk about this amazing book, and it opens up on Laura and Kwannon. And what I love here is, last issue found out that the villain's name was Apoth. And Laura's telling her, she goes, "We'll find Apoth, Psylocke. You have my word." And what I love is, do I have your trust as much as I can give? And then Laura wants to ask her something, saying, there's a part of me not many people can understand. I pretend it's not there. I smile. I'm nice. But there's an anger in me, a rage. I gave up any hope that someone could possibly understand it. Then you shared your thoughts with me, and I felt the same thing within you. Teach me what you know, how to harness it, control it. And I love how Kwannon says, I can make you its master. But every master is a slave, because Laura may be able to master her rage, but she's a slave to always having to keep it in check. And then we go back to that carousel place that I was talking about, and you see Kwannon say, clearly you hate this, but you keep putting yourself next to it. And Cable says, I'm waiting to feel what they feel. Thought it might. Clicked. If I did, I'd be able to let things go. Let the wars not matter. And that's what I meant by I said this book is very much on the outside looking in. As you see Cable and Laura, the first issue when they were sitting around carousel watching the fire, and while everyone's just kind of like dancing and having a good old time, they get into a bare knuckle sparring match. And so Kwannon, I think, sees a lot of herself in these two characters. And just the book aptly being called Fallen Angels, you can understand why. And I love how Hill is just taking his time kind of fleshing out the characters and showing how they want to be a part of Krakoa, but they can't. And that's what Cable talks about. He says there's this place called St. Matthias, I think is what it is. He goes, it's on fire. And he said that, there's slave labor going on, children going on, and there's like massacres going on. And Kwannon says we have to stay on Krakoa. We can only leave to follow Apoth. And Cable's like, I don't care. I'll go alone. And he says, you can stay here and dance. Now, there's a part here where it echoes back to saying when we desire, we fall. And this shows the way of the hand, and it shows all its different creeds and whatnot. And this one really was interesting because I'll read this one. The rest of them you guys can pause and read the rest. But this one says, the one seduced by intelligence, the one that must consider the orders of their master, that one walks the path of suffering, conscience is ego, the exaltation of self-interest above duty, a throne of weakness. Deny conscience, serve the words of the master. Be as the blade you trust. The blade does not question. The blade is drawn and used in return. The blade is unburdened by conscience. It is a thing of action, an object of function. The blade holds no guilt. And the reason I read that is there's a scene here where there's this woman, she's being attacked by, I believe it is hand agents. And you see Kwannon just go through them like so much tissue. And she's supposed to kill this woman. And I don't want to say who she's related to, why Kwannon is supposed to kill her. But let's just say that Kwannon hesitates. And she felt something. And remember how there it says when we desire, you fell, meaning that's the words of the hand. And then we kind of go back into the whole thing about the butterfly, which is a continuing theme so far. It's like a thematic part of this book. And she's elaborating with Sinister. And it's really interesting. And what's cool is she actually goes to Sinister to get out of Krakoa. And she finds Cable and Laura. And I love how she looks at Cable and she goes, I can teach you about war. Laura, I can teach you about rage. But goodness, I'll have to learn from the both of you. And so even though like this St. Maestus place is supposed to be the, the plot driver of how to get closer to Apoth and whatnot, but what makes this book shine is the character development between these three. It's organic, very much just, you can see how they want to fit in, but they don't. And that's not a bad thing because it makes them who they are. And you remember how at the end of the last issue how Kwannon said, I can make you butterflies? Well, this next issue, get past that, if I translated this right, it's called Cocoon. So, I am interested in seeing more of where Bryan Hill takes this comic book. It is absolutely beautiful. And like I said in the last issue, if you guys love a lot of like Japanese themed style comics mixed with cyberpunk like Ghost in the Shell or Akira, you're going to get a lot of that in this book, which is awesome. And then just Bryan Hill just knowing how to write characters. If you guys see it on his Batman and the Outsiders, it echoes here as well with these three individuals. And you feel for them. They just don't feel like little comic strip people on a page. These feel like human beings with issues that they want to get over and explore and better themselves, which is part of the hero's journey. So with that said, guys, if you've enjoyed this comic book or this review or both, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you're as excited about this title as I am, I really hope that when you share this video that your friends will get excited about it as well as, if you have other people in your family that love to read. This is definitely a book that you all will enjoy because it touches on a whole lot of interesting subject matter. So anyway, with that said, I hope you all continue to have a great day. And like I said, I hope to hear your thoughts on this book, either in the comments below or on our social media pages. I'll leave the links down in the description below. And again, have a great day reading. Thank you so much for stopping by.